So we're back with our conversation on safeguarding the children, especially the children in Kenya. And on set with me is Elisha Winga. You know, we're fumbling about your name because, yeah, there's a language I need to get it right. But wow, thank you so much for availing time to be here.
Thank you very much
So
for this opportunity.
you're a child advocate and a lawyer as well.
Yes.
So the law concerning the child in the Constitution pertains Kenya is a very familiar area for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because before I became a lawyer, I was already a children. I started as a Sunday school teacher.
Okay.
So I started teaching children when I was a child, from around class 8, class 7. So that passion, I became a Sunday school teacher. Then now I'm a teacher of Sunday school teachers. So when I did law, I've really focused myself on that area. So as much as I've also worked with the community, working also volunteering with the National Police Service as a community, advocate for the children's rights and stuff like that. Then initiating Mentors Africa. So the issue of children's right and the interest of children has always been just a natural thing in me.
Close to your heart. Oh, yeah. So on Monday we marked the International Day of the African Child 2025.
And the question is, are we celebrating?
Yeah. So, that's what I actually said we marked because I'm thinking, this is coming at the back of a lot of cases, a lot of stories of children being abducted, sexually abused. We're still grappling with issues to do with female genital mutilation in this day and age, and it is disheartening. There are some children who are still not in school, cannot afford basic education, and so is Kenya marking, celebrating? What are we doing when the International Day of the African Child is being observed?
I think we are somewhere in between, because I can say we are celebrating because there are milestones that we've also done as a nation. We've made some progress in terms of policy formulation. Kenya has also ratified a number of, treaties, the UNCRC, the ACRWC, among other optional protocols like the child sales, the involvement of pornographic. There are a number of treaties that we have ratified.
Okay.
If you look at locally in our constitution, the Constitution 2010, the Children's Act 2022, we have a number of things that we've been able to, the sexual offense, and also the Marriage Act has also been enhanced.
Yeah.
And a lot of things. So if you look at, in terms of policy development, we have got a lot to celebrate. But now, even looking at the new curriculum, nowadays our children are even taught their rights from as young as in school.
Yeah.
But now when we look at the other side of the coin, in terms of implementation and things on the ground, vitu ziko tofauti.
Yes.
So we are celebrating, and at the same time, we are not celebrating. So I can say we are not on the track, but we are not on the track.
So that the communities now seem to not be very familiar with some of these treaties that you're talking about, even the laws concerning children.
Yes.
So if the community does not know how to handle and what are some of these gains, then what can we say as a country? That information it seems to be hanging in the balance up there. The lawmakers and the policymakers are the ones who seem to know it. And then we on the ground who are handling these children practically don't seem to then know what to do.
That is actually where the gap is. Because if you look at our, as Kenya on paper, I can tell you we are better than UK on paper.
Are you serious?
For real. But when you come on the ground, it's worse than, I don't know. You can't say. Because number one, there is a lot of, people are not sensitized on these things. There are things I will tell you. Number one, even the government itself is violating Article 53 of the Constitution. Access to, basic education right.
Yes.
And these are things that we don't want to talk about. So if you look at what we have on the Constitution, because if we are to abide by just that alone, then basic education should be free.
Yeah.
Because it's a right of a child to get access to that. Yeah. But on the ground, it's different. You look at the issues in terms of child protection and even the children officers. There are areas in Kenya where there are no child, child protection officers.
Are you serious?
Yes, there are areas where there are no child
So that
protection
then we in
officers.
the urban centers, the ones in the cities and in the towns,
Yes.
are the ones who seem to enjoy this.
We seem to enjoy most of the things. But if you move across in the rural, there's nothing. They don't know these things.
So, and then in the family context, what does the law say? Because you talked about something to do with the family, and some of the laws that have been enacted that the families can take advantage. Probably because you're a lawyer, maybe tell us a bit about that so that then we are familiar in the family context.
For example, if you look at the issue of Sexual Offense Act, currently, before we had issues whereby a case would be withdrawn. Maybe the two parties, if it's maybe a rape case or an abuse,
Yes.
a case would be drawn based on the interest of the two parties. Now you cannot withdraw it based on your interest. It's only the DPP that has got the
right to withdraw
rights
any case, yes.
to withdraw. So that's a step, but many people do not know it. Secondly, previously where there are issues maybe with single parents.
Yeah.
First, the Constitution, Article 43. A child has got a right. Both parents have got equal rights on this
child, yes.
to access. But you've realized sometimes maybe where there are single parent issues, one parent denies the other one the right to access
this other
child, the child, maybe because of they have got their personal issues. And so you don't feel like you want this other child to, or using a child as a tool to manipulate the other parent.
But now, Winga, how do we then reinforce some of these things? Because maybe us from the Christian sphere, we can say we are a bit privileged. Some of this, we will use the conscience that the Christian faith enables us to have, But how about the wider society? How do we then reinforce some of these issues? Because think about that, where a single parent situation is, a child is caught in between, yet both parents can access this child.
Yeah, that's where the gap is, the sensitization. And that's why I said, on paper we are doing good.
Yeah,
but when it comes to the ground, number one, people are not sensitized, so they don't know. Previously, mostly people believe that when maybe there are issues of child custody, then a mother is more advantaged. According to the current law, the Children's Act 2022, it was repealed. Now, both of you, it's now based on one, the financial ability of the parent. Secondly, the wellness, the well-being or the stability in terms of, is this parent mentally okay? Is this parent, the environment? So it's more centered on the child. What is of the best interest of the child, rather than just the mother taking the child. We've had cases whereby the custody is given to the father, even though the child is still a minor, because based on facts, the mother is not in the best position to take care of the child. But the point is, number one, if you look at in line with what the theme for the Day of the African Child 2025, planning and budgeting. The biggest challenge we have is again in the area of planning and budgeting. So we don't have, even these, first I said that there are areas where there are no children officers. There are areas where they are, but the ratio in terms of the number of children officers compared with the population is not measuring up. So there is a lot of sensitization that needs to be done. But what is the problem again? When we are told to go for this public participation and even these, sensitization forums, we are not interested. We are not interested even in reading that constitution. So we are too busy. So the document is there, but you cannot demand for it because you even don't know. And when you are challenged to be part of it, you are too busy. We feel it's not something that we don't want to be part of until the point you are in a fix.
It's when now you start looking at the law and what it says.
Most of the people look for us when it's now, you are now knocking the road. The wall. That's when you are saying, how can I talk to our Wakili?
But can I ask you, like comparatively in Kenya, in the counties, which county can we say is more proactive towards child welfare and children's safeguards?
It's spread across. Obviously, Nairobi is on by virtue to the fact. And again, Nairobi has got more cases again because there are so many issues. So just the fact that because it's the capital, it's more it's more advantaged. But there are other counties like Kajiado, they're doing a lot.
What are they doing? What's happening in Kajiado?
Especially on the issue of GVB, the gender-based violence, and also the issue of the, how do you call it, female
genital mutilation. Yeah, that was rampant in that area.
So if you look at those areas, the government gave special attention because of those particular areas. But now if you look at generally some counties, let's say Nyan, Siaya, or, you know, where there are no much of these cases, they just left there.
And so that then, you remember the agitation for the girl child, empower the girl child, and then the boy child was left behind, and then now we're trying to balance it out. How is that playing out right now? Because the calls, of course, the calls recently have been, you know, don't leave the boy child behind. However much we used to push for the girl child to be empowered and to be emancipated. How is that playing out, especially in the space where the children are operating in?
Now, if for example, if you look at statistics, we have more single mothers. It shows you that there is an investment on one side that has now outweighed the other side.
So the imbalance again has
there is a serious imbalance because we have women who are so much empowered who should be handled by men who are less empowered.
So by empowering the girl, we disadvantaged the boy.
We ignored, not disadvantaged.
We ignored him.
The boy
and felt he's able to take care of himself.
He's able to
Let's pull this other one up.
Currently, people who are suffering a lot of mental issues are boy child and men. Because you want to handle this woman who is so much empowered and so strong, and you are not to that mental state. So what happens? Naturally, men, we are created naturally to be, you know, leaders, to be protectors, to be providers. Now, if you want to handle this woman now who is more empowered than you, and then you realize maybe she's earning more than you are earning, she is more educated than you, and at that point, you realize submission now becomes an issue of negotiation. And now some men are the ones who are submitting and the women loving. Instead of men loving, you know, men loving.
And then it's creating a whole metamorphosis of, I don't know, gender-based violence starts arising in some of those situations.
So because of that, GVB are growing.
Okay.
And you get it. So we get now children growing up in an environment. I've come to realize an unstable marriage produces unstable parenting atmosphere. As long as the relationship between mom and dad is not stable, don't lie to yourself. You know, the children will be
affected.
It will be affected. And that's why you're now seeing children that are growing. They're growing in an environment where it's not safe, and then separation. There is a research, 2020, that was showing that most of the children that end up in juvenile, 68 point something percent are from single parents. There is something that these children are lacking. So when you're talking about gender-based violence, how can we look at it from the point of creating a safe environment for the children? We've not looked into it from that way. So it comes back to planning. We are not planning a lot. And again, if you look at the way children are, the children aspect of it, even in our government, you know, we have been spread across. At some point, the children are under Ministry of Education, then social welfare, then health. So you realize when the budget is being allocated, they are spread across, and you cannot really be able to figure it out. Like, now this is for children. It's been spread across, and the way the government deals with the departments. So we are not really, no one is really focusing on it in terms of, in this, for example, this year's budget, 702 billion point something has been allocated for education. How much, can you quantify how much has been specifically allocated for the girl child on the issue of sanitary towels? Yet we said we want to reduce the sanitary towel that is being imported so that we can produce it internally? Have we planned in terms of infrastructure to deliver the sanitary towels that will be adequate? Vaccination.
Interesting.
Do we have enough vaccines? Have we taken care of it in the health? Yes, we have around 49.1 billion increment in the, in the health department.
Yes.
They have allocated around 138 billion for health. But the question is, how is this money subdivided to the maternal issues?
Yes.
You get it. Before we had the Linda Mama, and we were protecting. Now, recently, my brother's wife gave birth, and a normal birth, we had to part with around 15,000.
Which was taken care of in Linda Mama
Yes,
previously.
before, I remember then, you just walk into the hospital and you give birth. So
Yeah.
my question is, are you paying to bring in a new citizen in the country?
Oh, wow, wow. What a question.
Yes, are we paying to bring in a new citizen into the country?
Wow.
And this is a question that politicians need to ask themselves.
Wow.
Are we paying to give you voters?
Yeah. Well, Winga, now let's go to the digital spaces here and safeguarding the children in the digital spaces. Cyber crime is becoming a thing. But here's I don't know if it's a disconnect, it's a situation that we're having where the CBE is allowing kids to now, explore and learn from themselves. And of course, they come and want homework and they ask for, Mom, give me your phone, I need to Google something. So we're actually sending them to danger.
Yes.
So what are we doing to protect children in this space that we're sending them to?
Yes, as I told you, we've done so much when it comes to policy formulation. We have a very nice Data Protection Act that I think many Kenyans are not really well privy to. And when it comes to now sensitization, because there's a lot that is in that act that we are not really doing and we are not really privy to, even if we are to be asked on the same. Because no matter how we want to take it or not, the digital space is the next. That's where we are going.
Yes,
and we cannot stop our children.
Yep.
But we must have ways to curb and control all this. For example, you realize parents who are doing, they are doing, is it diaries or blogging their children's life? And you are posting, oh, my child is in this school. Oh, he has done this. What you do not know is, number one, you are breaching the rights of that child.
We are.
Yes. Number two, you are risking your child to abduction.
Yes, yes.
Because there's someone who will be monitoring your child and they know, okay, they go to this school, at this time they leave, this is what they're doing, and then you will say your child is abducted.
Oh, wow.
This is the life. They will know, okay, they come from this family, they have this. So if this child is being driven on this car, whatever, if I abduct this child and demand this amount of money,
I will be able to get it.
I'll be able to get it.
Oh, my Lord.
So in one way or the other, you are risking the life of your own child.
So we are also sending them into danger.
Yes.
Oh my.
Secondly, some of these sites are not protected. And in Kenya, mostly you realize our, that access, the laws to curb children content and stuff like that. Apart from when Dr. Mutua pushed for the, for censoring for the LGBTQA, content.
Yes.
We have not created other laws and we've not pushed much on the issue of how can we be able to censor what children can access. Some parents do not create, how do you call it, child lock or child security features in their phones or in their machines. And I can tell you the easiest way is you link your machine with your email. Anything they open will be notified to you.
Yes.
And I have a friend of mine. She was training on protection, how she protects her children from effect of social media.
We need to watch about a bit more of that. That should be circulating.
Yes. So she was saying, make sure that all the gadgets that the children have, they are connected to her email. So she says, don't access this. If you access, she will be notified.
Yes.
So they already know, Mom will always, they don't know how, but Mom will always know.
Yes, I went to this site.
I went to this site. Now, education-wise, what people do not know is that too much social media affects the development of the brain of the child. And especially at that child between the age of around 9, 10, 11, 12, they are at their prime mind development stage. Now, you realize most of the children cannot concentrate so much in class.
Yes.
They are easily distracted
Yes.
because their mind cannot concentrate. So the more at that point, they need to play more. They need to do things that are technically engaging their mind. They need to read so that the ability, the mind can develop the ability to concentrate for longer time and absorb. If they are, apart from just games, music, if they get involved in creative things like drawing, singing, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why? They help in expanding the absorption ability of the brain of a child. Now, when this child will be now 14, 16, 17, and now they're introduced into technical courses like,
Yeah.
physics,
Engineering and those kinds of things. Yes.
law, those things that require a lot of technical reasoning, their mind will be able to concentrate for longer and can be able to sustain that pressure.
Wow.
But the children that are always on social media,
Gadgets.
on gadgets,
Yes.
it lowers the concentration of their mind. Now, by the time they will get to now going to those technical courses,
Yeah.
that's why you realize someone goes to university, he went to study engineering,
Medical.
but they drop and start doing easier things.
Yeah.
Because their mind cannot comprehend, they cannot, take it.
What can the church do? What can the church do? We need to finish this conversation because I need to know.
It's an area
Yeah.
that, church is a community.
Yes.
And most of the time we've always said these things in wanasiasa. Even when you call the church to come to participate.
Yeah.
Even I'm a trainer of children ministers.
Yes.
I travel across, Kenya, across.
Yes.
And even outside. Just training on children ministry. And most of the time when you talk to churches, how can we train on child protection? Let's leave aside the issue of, evangelism, discipleship.
It's protecting the child.
Protecting the child. How prepared are your teachers, psychologically, mentally, even to detect? In many cases, I have detected children who have got issues back at home.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you can detect because I've trained and I know.
Yeah.
I've detected children who are involved in cults.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I've detected children who are in drugs. There are things that as a teacher they will not tell you.
Yes.
But if you have the training, understanding the
pick
child
it.
psychology, you will be able to pick. But most churches, do you know that many churches, all the children ministers, they are not even privy to the Child Protection Act. And by law, you should not handle a child, whether you are a teacher, you are a pastor, you are working around children. You must go through the children's the child protection policy and append to it that will uphold it. Because if you violate these children, on what basis will you be?
And ignorance is no defense.
Yes. So churches need to take it very serious that we must. Do you know, according to the data, the Data Protection Act, you are not allowed to showcase the videos. For example, these conferences that we do, and we are using our children videos to show our DVBS and our, our conference. The last year's event was powerful with the children's video. I can sue you people if there is no,
there's no written consent.
There is no written consent. And actually, there are cases where schools have been sued and they have paid.
We will end this conversation here. Thank you so much, you guys. Familiarize yourself with the Data Protection, Children Protections Act and all the guidelines therein. Thank you so much, Elisha Winga.
Thank you very much.
Child protection and a lawyer. Children issues are at his heart, and we thank you so much for availing time to just come and speak to us concerning these matters. My name is Melissa Odor on the anchoring, together with Boniface Mureithi on the sign language, with us on Newswatch tonight. Have a good night.